And we're live.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Germany, Lithuania, the States, Philippines, whatever. Just know that you are locked in on To The Point with
Skip.
And the King. You guys know what to do. Go down there. Amazon, Spotify.
Click subscribe,
Apple.
baby. Click subscribe. We've had a lot of people watching our videos, not a lot of people subscribing. So yeah, give us a sub.
Yeah, we could use that. Hook a brother up. You guys can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and like Skip just said, like subscribe. Okay. Skip, today.
Yeah.
There's only two.
Only two what?
Only two. Just you and me.
Oh yeah. The OGs.
Now you know what? We like to call them doubles.
Oh.
Now we saw on Skip. Can I get out a little rant right here before we get into anything?
I'll make it quick. Let's make it quick.
Yeah, I will. So we saw the game versus the New Orleans Pelicans that they were Jack and Leo and Kayla. They were all talking about doubles. Now, can I give you a Skip? Let me educate you right here.
Mhm.
Okay. So doubles was introduced in Trinidad by my great grandparents. My
Wow.
great grandparents. Okay. And the funny story is basically it was a piece of dough, right, which is called bara, and then there's some curry chickpeas, which is called chana, right? And basically what it was in the early 1900s. Wait, hold up. Lithuania. Pull up that graphic for me, okay? In the early 1900s, what they did was they had guys go around on bicycles and they would pull it up, and then they went to the University of West Indies, which is in Trinidad, and some white guy said, make it a double. Boom. That was it. Doubles. You guys go find the book. When my cousin's sending me the book, and I'm gonna get it, and I'll show you guys just for proof.
So just make it a double, as in like give me two. That's
Yeah.
why it's called double. All right.
Two pieces of dough, right? So it's
Yeah.
like a sandwich,
Yeah.
right? Speaking of doubles, they're very healthy for you. There's no meat, there's no red meat. It's completely vegan. And speaking of healthy, Skip, now that the Raptors are 99.999% healthy, just minus Fred VanVleet.
I wouldn't say that, but healthier than they've been for a while. Sure. Yeah.
What do you think their health has to contribute to the team?
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious that the All-Star break was a good time for guys to rest up a little bit. We saw OG finally come back from his wrist injury at long last. He looked a little bit rusty in that game against the Pels, but presumably that was just kind of knocking off the month off. And I think he looked fine. I think he'll be back to himself in no time at all. I think we had a couple other guys that were nursing some minor injuries. I think Precious was dealing with something. I think Thad Young was dealing with something. He did play against the Pels, but I don't think it was injury related. I think it was coach's decision. Obviously, by the time this airs, we'll probably have the Pistons game in the review. We haven't seen that yet. But presumably we're back to health, aside from Otto Porter, who's probably not going to play for the rest of the season, maybe never again as a Raptor. We shall see. VanVleet is obviously away from the team at the moment, dealing with a personal matter. No one really knows what the details are as of yet. But the idea going forward is here, if VanVleet can get back in short order.
Wouldn't say it.
What's that?
I said even if we did know, we wouldn't say it because that's his.
We all have our suspicions, but let's not get into it. So I think once VanVleet comes back, presuming there's no catastrophic injuries this weekend, we should finally by next week really see this fully formed 8-man unit that we've been dreaming of ever since the Jakob Poeltl trade, where you have 8 solid players all on the floor at once. Not at once, but in the course of a game, you have 8 solid players and no real weaknesses. So I think that's kind of what we're working towards, and knock on wood, it'll stay that way for the last month or month and a half of the season.
Skip, you just said something there, but can I just ask you real quick? This is off script. Who are the 8 players? Let's go.
Oh, I think we know the 8. It's Van Vliet, Trent, Scotty, Pascal, OG, Jakob, Boucher, and Achua.
Okay. Now, Skip. What I'll just like give you a little quick thing here. I think with the health of the Raptors, that is actually very good and beneficial towards them, because we have spoken to nauseum about this, about Nick Nurse running the starters to the ground, giving them 37 to 40 minutes a night. And I think with the backups and the people that are behind them that can be healthy, can help them.
Well, now, let me just say one thing about that. So Nick Nurse, after the game against the Pels, he came out in the press conference and he said it was really nice to not have to play guys crazy minutes, yada yada yada. Then you look at the box score; it was still like 40 minutes for Scotty, 38 minutes for Pascal, I think it was. So it's not exactly, he's not scaling it back to like 32, 33 minutes a game. It's like it's still a little bit on the edge here, but go on.
But having these guys healthy and well and available, what would you see? Because I did say the Raps should end up in 4th in the Eastern Conference this year. What would you think? What would you think of their trajectory right now with the last 23 games of the season, while they're sitting currently in 9th?
Yeah. So
considering the Hawks are falling off, the Nets have fallen off, what do you see from them? Like Washington's, Atlanta's, like you got the big hitters, you got the big guns, you got the Philly, the Milwaukee, the Boston, right? But where do you see their trajectory going forward until the end of the season?
Don't drop the ball there, Brian.
Almost, but I don't move.
No, so I think absolutely they're in line for a play-in spot. That's really where they are right now. Like you said, they're 9th right now. I think it will not be super difficult for them to maintain 9th. With Poeltl back in the lineup, with some of these guys coming back, with the new unit kind of gelling, really, as we've seen over the past couple games, really looks good. We'll get into that a little later in this show. But basically, you're 29-31 as at the time of this recording. We don't know what's happened in the Piston game just yet. But assuming you're right around 5. Yeah, assuming we're right around 500. You're basically tied with the was it the Hawks?
The Hawks.
Yeah, they're essentially tied with the Hawks and essentially tied with the Wizards for this 8, 9, 10 spot. Now I think absolutely so the Raptors have the 5th hardest schedule in that time frame. The Hawks, I believe, have let me check what it is. The Hawks have the 3rd hardest, and the Wizard, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but it's a little bit easier than those two. So I think basically you're looking at basically a race between the Raptors and the Hawks for kind of that 8th spot, that 9th spot. I don't think the Wizards will stick around. I think they'll fall off a little bit. Maybe they'll sneak into the 10th spot. Now, if you want to talk about getting into the 6th spot, getting to the 7th spot, now those spots are essentially tied between Miami and New York right now. And it's 4 games, which doesn't sound like a lot on paper, right? You're like, oh, you're only 4 games back. We're going to get our stuff together. We're going to do this. But keep in mind, the Raptors have the 5th hardest schedule in the entire league down the stretch. So 4 games is not insignificant over the course of a 22-game stretch. So just for the sake of argument, right? I was thinking, okay, what do the Raptors have to do to make one of those spots, to make 7th, let alone 6th, to make 7th? The Raptors go 15-7 over these 22 games. That means they need either Miami or New York to go 11-11, just to tie them for that spot, right? I don't have the tiebreakers open right in front of me right now, but off the top of my head, I think we have some games to play against Miami. I think did we beat New York twice? I can't remember. Yeah, it's not important. But basically, you're looking at 15-7 minimum, and that's
It's like
only...
Julius Randle shooting a 3-point competition. It's not important.
Yeah. I know they split too. I just can't remember what happened in the third game. So basically, you're looking at going 15-7 just to tie them. If one of those teams goes 500 down the stretch. Now, the odds of them both going 500 down the stretch and you going 15-7 are pretty low. So I think even getting that 7th spot is pretty optimistic possibility. I think what you're looking at right now is you're trying to get 8th, because if you get 8th, that means you get 2 guaranteed play-in games, I should say, and you get 1 guaranteed home playoff game, because if you lose your first game on the road, then you get to, I believe you get to go home for the second round of the play-in tournament. So I think
you're home for the first round and then visitor for the second round.
No, you're visitor for the first. You're visitor for the first round, home for the second. Yeah. But
we'll figure all that shit out later.
Yeah, we'll figure it later. But essentially, I think the Raptors are gunning for that 8th spot right now. I don't think we should get pie in the sky and think they're going to make 6th. I think if they go on some crazy run and you see New York kind of fall apart, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But if we're betting favorites right now, I would say the Raptors are likely to end up in the 8th spot, more likely than any other spot other than maybe 9th. But I think they're right in that spot where they're at now. And the rest of the season, so listen, they make the play-in, they make the playoffs. Sure, that's great. You're going to get pancaked by Boston and Milwaukee in the first round. I believe in this team, but I don't believe in them that much. You're going to get pancaked in the first round. So this season, as much as we want them to be competitive down the stretch, as much as we want to see them really step up their game, it's not so much about the playoffs this year. It's about, okay, does this core work together? Can we build with this core, with the 8 guys I just mentioned? Can these 8 guys be the part of the next best Raptors team, the next Raptors championship team or contending team? And that's sort of where this 22-game sample size is going to be a really interesting experiment to see how Poeltl fits in with everybody else, to see how the pieces all fit together and where they can kind of go with that. So I think that's really what this 22 games are about. Obviously,
There we go, Skip.
Yeah.
You just said the realm of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as of this recording, this was just following the New Orleans Pelicans game.
Yeah.
The Raptors have a 3-game win streak out of the last 4 since the acquisition of Jakob Poeltl. Now, he has, speaking of doubles, right? This guy's been...
It's 6 to 7 if you include before he came to the team. But
this guy, he's been killing it for the Raptors. And it unlocks a lot more for the team as a team, which we spoke about with Coach Roach. Shout out my man. And we did speak about the chemistry and the spacing of the floor and how it enables other players on the court that the Raptors currently have to actually utilize their talents and maybe make it like look at that play, that last play against New Orleans. Jakob made that move which freed up Gary Trent. You guys, you don't believe me? You're full of shit. Go watch that goddamn game. Go watch that last play. Okay. Now, Skip, honestly, you've been a fan of Jakob for a while. You've mentioned it on the show. And I would like to ask you about what Jakob's effect is on this team, not just for himself, but to open up Division 6-9 and to open up the other players to get their spots and do what they got to do to get the wins.
Well, simply put, it's been astronomical. I mean, I don't think I was this bullish on Yak. I was sort of like, they need a center. I think a year ago I wanted them to go and get him, but like I was not expecting what we've seen over the first 3 or 4 games. Now, keep in mind, this is
him or JV, and look what he did to JV.
Look what he did to JV. the numbers have been off the charts. You see a 30-point game, you see a 20-point game, you see an 18 rebound game. You've just seen some crazy numbers from him. But it's not even about the numbers. The screens he's been setting, the way he's been playing defense, the way he's protecting the paint. If you look at his on-off stats, I think I saw some crazy stat where the Raptors are, I think they have a 103 defensive rating with him in the game, which would be far and away the best in the league.
His shooting is 83%.
Yeah, he's shooting 83% because every shot's a layup, but that's part of what he brings to the table. And just the way he fits in with the team as just this kind of rebounder who's in the paint, and the Raptors miss so many shots that he can just camp out in the paint and he can get easy buckets all day. He can just feast down low. But yeah, you're talking about offense. I'm more talking about the defense. Like he's been really good at protecting the paint. Ever since that Utah game, the Utah game was a bit of an anomaly, but I think he's sort of slowly figured out his role, and really the Raptors have built their defense around him a little bit, and they're starting to evolve into that spot.
He didn't start in the Utah game, but
that's what I mean. So the numbers I see are 103 defensive rating, a plus 20 net rating. I'm seeing 15 plus 15 on Baseball Reference, but that might be an adjustment that I'm missing. But either way, the net rating with him on the floor has been absolutely outrageous. Again, like these are bad teams they're playing, so I think there is something to be said for better teams will know how to scout him better. Better teams will be able to not give him 20, 30 points a night. But the way that he's just impacted everything the Raptors do is so enormous. It's like I use the analogy. It's like you have a leak in your toilet tank, and instead of plastering it over with duct tape, you get a new toilet tank. Like it's like just a massive renovation to the Raptors. What they're doing out there on the floor, and he's had such
shitting where.
Yeah, I don't know why I used that analogy. I meant to use a roof, but our mind goes in certain places. So the Poeltl has revolutionized. I would say revolutionized what the Raptors do in every aspect of the game. It's not just. We always think like, oh, we need a replacement center. We need a guy who can get in there and just get some rebounds. That was what Ken Burch was out there for. Poeltl is a guy who fixes everything. He opens guys up with screens. He gets in the paint and he rebounds. He finishes in the paint over bigger players. He guards the paint on the other end of the floor. He's just such an impactful player, and he does stuff that nobody else on the roster does. I almost like, to use a baseball analogy, like the only thing that came to mind is like when the Jays went out and got Troy Tulowitzki like 7 years ago. And Tulo, like he wasn't really the hitter that we wanted him at that point in his career, but he fixed the defense. He fixed what was broken on the team. And that's kind of what Poeltl, the impact that Poeltl's had. And I, for one, did not expect it to be this massive, this earth shattering. I mean, I saw that last game he played with San Antonio, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like Yak is okay, but I don't know if this is a great fit. But yeah, no, he's the way he's impacted the team has been way more impactful than I think what we were all saying, go out and get a shooter. The fact that Yak changes everything and he moves everybody else around into their specific roles has been something that I think Masai and Bobby were on the right track when they decided that really this is what we need to focus on. Even though the shooting is still a concern, those guys are easier to find than an impactful big man who you can organize your whole team around. So that's some of what I had to say. I don't know. Do you want to jump in or?
Yeah, of course. I think I agree with you 100%. I think what Yak has done for this team coming in has really, we did cover this, like I said, with Coach Roach. It creates space on the floor, and it allows the players to do what they got to do. I know what was an adjustment in the first game against Utah, but after we've seen what happened the last 3 games, the 2 prior to the All-Star break and the 1 post All-Star break so far as of this recording, it's really opened it up for the other players to do what they got to do, especially especially the Raptors, 2 stars that actually got to go to All-Star Weekend. And god damn it, Skip, I wish I still had my camcorder because I'd be holding it right now. Okay?
I don't think I've had one of those since the 90s.
Oh no, I'll tell you a story offline. 2010. But yeah, it's opened up a lot of playing for the chemistry for the Toronto Raptors, and maybe I think the acquisition of Jakob Poeltl may be more beneficial to the team because now you got Freddie going off ball, you got Scotty basically running point, you got Pascal, he can do his thing. You know, like, holy crap! Did you see that dunk against the Pelican?
Oh, that dunk was world shattering. I can't believe I saw that. My roommate was at the game live, and the first thing we said when we saw each other was, "Did you see that Boucher dunk?" That was. I'm not a dunk guy. I'm not a dunk guy, but oh my god, that was a dunk.
He murdered it with them purple shoes, and he had two guys on the wing. But the Raps are playing well, and then coming back with the block after. So it definitely opens up. It definitely opens up like different. I don't know if you guys have seen Avengers Endgame, but it definitely opens up different portals for your teammates to come and help and assist. And the thing I love about Yak right now is, honestly, dude, it's really creating a different sort of chemistry, sort of different vibe towards the team, especially with him and Pascal.
Yeah, he also, I didn't quite understand how good of a passer he was. I know he's turned it over a few times, but especially in that San Antonio game against the Raptors. But I do now see how his passing can really help open guys up and create opportunities and more spacing, even than a guy who comes in just to shoot the ball.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot from them. But Skip, based on that, Yak, enough about him. There was an All-Star game this weekend. Can you call it that, or can we just call it a glorified layup contest?
I'm gonna say I didn't see. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I watched about 5 minutes of that game, and I was like, turn the TV off. I watched the slam dunk competition was good. The dunk competition was good this year. I did watch that.
Skip.
I did watch that.
You said that. I said, not on the show, but I did say online, you can go look up my Facebook, that 4 years ago, I saw Mac McClung dunking, and I posted his mixtape, and I said, this guy is going to win slam dunk championship in the NBA.
You know what? So Mac McClung will have a very long and fruitful career for the Harlem Globetrotters. That's my prediction.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine him on the Harlem Globetrotters?
Yes.
If my dad was alive, we'd go to the game and watch it. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was ridiculous what he did.
It was nice.
Oh my goodness. Can we speak about that? Skip for a second?
Sure.
Can we speak about that? I think all of his dunks, and over the past years, me as an avid All-Star Game weekend watcher and watching the festivities, I used to get annoyed with players taking 10 tries for a freaking dunk, okay? And no, I'm gonna say it, a fucking dunk. Are you serious? But this guy hit every single one, first try. And I thought that to me that was astounding, especially.
So you know what that means, though. That means that you know what that means. That means those were his easy dunks. Because I looked at some of his mixtapes, and there were dunks on his mixtapes that were way better than anything he did in the contest. Way better. But I guess he didn't want to miss them. So there's one dunk, man. I wanted to see it. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a reverse. He was looking away from the basket, dunked it behind his back after the spin.
Oh yeah, the one where he went like this.
Oh, it was crazy. That was crazy. If you haven't seen it, look it up, because that was crazy. Look up his mixtapes.
That was crazy. All I'll say is, like, one of the worst parts of the All-Star weekend was why was Julius Randle taking 3-point shots? Why?
I'll be honest. I didn't pay much attention to the skills competition or the 3-point competition
Oh
either.
my God. Skip, I'm gonna own it. The only thing I got wrong on all of my predictions was the 3-point contest.
You didn't pick Dame? Who'd you pick?
I didn't pick Dame. I picked shoot. Can't remember who I picked off the top of my head. But that was the only one I got.
Doesn't
wrong.
matter. We should shout out Scotty, by the way, for winning the Rising 3 Arts contest.
That's what I'm saying. That's
competition.
what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Scotty, even though he didn't get the MVP, he could have, but Scotty was being Scotty, giving the hockey assists and being just a role player, and great for him because I guess that's a maturing process for him to be part of the Toronto Raptors, right? And I thought that was awesome where he didn't have to take the limelight. So
yeah, well, it was nice to see him win. I didn't. Again, I was pretty much. I took All-Star Weekend off. I barely watched anything, but I saw the end of that game and the trophy ceremony. Yeah,
he won and Pascal won. So
yeah,
there's some winners from your Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Skip. Before we get out of here, we're running low on time. I know we were just rambling about the All-Star game because it was all right. So, Canada on our home and native land. Do you have any last things that you would like to say to the lovely ladies, gentlemen, anybody out there that are watching us currently?
I don't know too much. I mean, we kind of covered it. There's maybe a little more I could get to, but we don't really have time. So, yeah, I think just enjoy these last 22 games. Enjoy what the Raptors are. Don't get your expectations too pie in the sky. Don't expect this to turn into a championship team overnight. But we've embraced winning. The tankathon is over. Let's just try to win as many games as possible down the stretch and try to enjoy some playoff games. And yeah, that's about all I got to say.
Skip, you just said it. With our last 22 games, I said our. Shit. Okay. With the last 22 games, Skip and I are going to be going hard and hitting you guys with mad content, every possible platform we can. And we hope you guys enjoy it. We hope you guys don't get, like Skip said, we hope you don't get your expectations too high in the sky, and then start complaining and start whining, because we're not Toronto Maple Leaf fans. But you guys
the Leafs might actually win the cup this year, but anyway.
Yeah, it's possible. I know, right? With ROR. We'll bring on Andrew Reese for that. But you guys don't get your expectations too high. You know, the Raptors are not going to win a championship this year. They're building towards something, and it's starting with players like Scotty Barnes, of course. Now the acquisition of Jakob Poeltl, to change the chemistry within the team on the court. So don't get your expectations up, and don't hate on us. I've been getting a lot of hate online from you guys out there. So don't hate on us. We're just presenting you the facts. That's all it is. Okay? There's no Kawhi Leonard on this team to go ding, 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 swish. Okay? So, Skip, on behalf of yourself and myself, you guys know what to do. Go down there. Find us. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and right here, to the point. Okay? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
peace.